Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market, here with a topic I usually don't discuss on this channel, but I think it's finance related. So we're going to talk about the top 5 cards that I think are going to be banned first in the Pioneer format. Before we get to it, I just want to announce a Q&A that I'll be having for this channel. We've reached some pretty cool milestones. So I blinked and we went above 4,000. It's because we had a big spike of subscribers here in the last couple of days. And I was at 3.9 the last time I looked at, and all of a sudden 4.2. So we hit that 4,000 subscriber milestone. Want to do a Q&A for that, as well as hit a 100 patrons. So 100 patrons on the Rogue Deck Builder, which is also the Rogue Market channel. So that's pretty awesome too. I think the majority of the patrons are coming from the Rogue Market, as that's my benefits are the best geared towards people that actually like to buy a lot of booster packs. I'm not going to talk too much about Patreon. I talk about it tons on this channel. You can definitely go check it out in the link in the description below, but we save a lot of people a lot of money for just being a patron. So anyway, let's get on to the topic of hand of the top 5 cards that I think are going to be banned, and they're going to go in reverse order. So I think this is the 5th most likely one, or that will be banned, and then we'll get to the juicier stuff when we go down the list. So going on at number 5 is Treasure Cruise. So Treasure Cruise has been banned from basically every format. It's a lot fairer without the fetch lands. Some might even argue that during Khans of Tarkir Standard, it was easier to get a Treasure Cruise with the Delve because of the fetch lands. However, in this format, there is a lot of looting that occurs with cards like Baby Jace or Smuggler's Copter, and I've seen this card do degenerate things already in Jeskai Ascendancy lists, in just many lists that cast a lot of spells, and then Treasure Cruise just gets you back in the game. I think that eventually this card, there's just going to be too much things to synergize with Treasure Cruise, and it's going to need to be banned, but I'm thinking this one won't get banned right off the bat. It's going to take a while until lists are solidified where this card actually does become busted. It's just one of those cards where the design is very, very or flawed for this card, because it's too easy to get that 7 cards in your graveyard to then draw 3. In fact, the drawing 3 works towards even more Treasure Cruise later on when you have 3 more spells to cast. There's a lot of cycling from like Omniked or the lands that cycle that add towards the Delve count that make this card, like I said, extremely easy to cast for 1 mana, just be an Ancestral Recall at that point to draw 3 cards. So Treasure Cruise has been banned in basically every other format that it's been legal in, and I think it's going to get the axe in the Pioneer format as well. Now on to the next one. This is Felidar Guardian. I would say that Felidar Guardian would be higher up on the ban list, because right now the Saheeli combo is very, very, very good. And we do have like Thoughtseize and other ways to rip out the combo, but this deck just has all of the pieces it had when it had to get banned in Standard, and plus a lot more to just make this very efficient. Felidar Guardian, by blinking any permanent, is extremely potent. You can blink even enchantments, which we'll talk about as time goes on, for my number 1 that also goes in this deck. You can actually even blink Planeswalkers, and that's exactly what it's doing. So a really stupid combo with even Felidar is just Teferi, and that's backbreaking with Teferi, and Teferi bounces something back, and then you Felidar Guardian and then blink the Teferi and bounce something back again, and you've got the card advantage, and then you are really far ahead with that particular deck, as then you start to out advantage your opponents. So I'm thinking that Felidar Guardian will eventually get the axe. I'm not sure quite off the bat, because I think there's a particular card from the deck that needs to go first, because it overlaps with many other decks. So Felidar Guardian, I wouldn't be investing in this, because it is on the power level of the Pioneer format. It's one of the more powerful or degenerate combos right now with the Saheeli combo. All right, next up is actually a card from the latest set, and this is Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time is just bad design, and it has a high price tag because it sees so much play right now in Standard. I think we even started to see this in Legacy. Let's see if I haven't seen any Legacy lists right now, but I swear I've seen some lists with Legacy. But it sees a ton of play in Modern, where even Tron is starting to toy around with it over Sylvan. Was it Sylvan Scrying? Because Once Upon a Time can be cast on your first turn for free, followed up by then dropping a land and doing an Ancient Stirring. So oftentimes Once Upon a Time allows you to have like an 11 card starting hand in Tron, because you're going through 5 cards right off the bat to then dig for another Tron land. So in Modern, it's insanely powerful, and in this format, I'm also thinking it's going to be just too good to fix for the combo-based strategies. Of having this spell be the opening card to find a particular creature or a land for those multicolored decks, I don't think it's a good thing for the format. Talk about Treasure Cruise. It's another thing that gets a card in the spell that then, or in the graveyard, that then can be utilized with Delve. And if free spells traditionally have been the easiest ones to ban in formats because they tend to get degenerate the quickest. So I'm thinking Once Upon a Time, I've been seeing it a ton in the Pioneer format. And it's one of those cards too that if you're in the color green, you might as well run it. And I don't think that those are healthy for the format just for diversity's sake. All right, on to number 2, and then these two I think are the first two that are going to go the quickest, because after playing the Pioneer, I've played 3 leagues on MTGO, and I played a lot of other on the casual queue or the tournament practice queue on MTGO, and I see a ton of decks running these 2 cards particularly, the first one being Dig Through Time. Dig Through Time is just too powerful. It's the instant speed that really breaks this card, because it allows you to play at the end of your opponent's turn. I know opposing Teferis can stop that, but going through the top 7 cards of your library and putting 2 of them in your hand allows combo decks just to go crazy. So it's too efficient for finding the exact pieces. So control decks and combo decks, and there's a particular card called Approach the Second Sun or Nexus of Fate that Dig Through Time does very well at then getting, and then rinse and repeat. Both of those cards just lock you out. And I think if those type of decks are going to not become like annoyingly oppressive and just annoying in general, then Dig Through Time has got to go. This card also just goes in the same decks that I listed with Treasure Cruise. It's very easy to get a ton of cards in the graveyard, and then for 2 mana, you can utilize your cards in your graveyard to then go and pick up any 2 cards, any 2 answers, and it's just too good in the format right now, and eventually will get banned. So what card actually outpaces Dig Through Time, Once Upon a Time, Feldar Guardian, and Treasure Cruise? This one is Oath of Nyssa. Oath of Nyssa, I am convinced, needs to go. There are a few decks right now that are playing it, but mainly the combo is Oath of Nyssa and Teferi, and then of course Oath of Nyssa and like Feldar Guardian. And I'm sure even like if we start to see like Enchantress-based decks, remember we have the entire Theros block that pairs with Oath of Nyssa. We've got a bunch of cards from core sets that utilize enchantments. This just will end up being too strong of a card for what it does. It's the Ponder of green. So for 1 mana, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your library, put a creature, land, or planeswalker card from among them on the battlefield, or onto your hand. Sorry, not on the battlefield. That'd be way broken. But again, it's just really with Teferi that this gets pretty nuts, with Teferi being able just to blink the Oath of Nyssa and really grind out your opponents. And then with Feldar Guardian and then fixing of the planeswalkers, it's very easy to be running like Oko, Saheeli, and you can even run like Royal Scions in the deck I've seen, Teferi, and then that combo is just too easy to establish with Oath of Nyssa to be able to dig for more Saheelis and Feldar Guardians. So I'm thinking that's going to be the first so far. Again, this is very, very quick, but I'm exploring the format, and I'm trying to see which cards seem to be the more powerful cards and which cards seem to be the most detrimental to the format. I don't think a lot of the usual suspects that people have suggested, like Smuggler's Copter or Heart of Koran or Baby Jace, I haven't seen a lot of decks actually utilizing them, and I think they're just kept in check by cards like Kolgan's Command and Thoughtseize, and we have a lot more answers than we did in the Kaladesh years for those particular cards. So these cards that I've talked about don't really have answers at all. There's not a great way to deal with Delve. I mean, you can run things like Ashiok and Ley Lines and whatnot, but it's just a losing battle at that point if you're going to slow down the ability for Treasure Cruise just to even be cast at 8 at that point. I mean, it's going to happen. It's still a card they can utilize. So those 2 specific Delve cards, they've been banned in every other format. They're going to be banned in this one. And then, of course, the Feldar Guardian and other combo enablers like Once Upon the Time and Oath of Nyssa. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. These are 5 particular cards I'd be very careful with investing. Short term, you might be able to invest in them. They're all going up like crazy. Look at the price jump from Oath of Nyssa. Card Kingdom's out of stock. The buy list, I bet, will go up in price So if you go over to Card Kingdom, $1.79 out of stock when they refilled their 8. So I'm thinking like what Card Kingdom does, they start to sell a lot of them, is then it goes under review, and then like I think it's automated for the first couple ticks of like putting 8 on, increasing the price, putting 8 on, increasing the price, and then it goes under review, and then it doesn't go back in stock until one of their associates reviews it and puts it up for a higher price. But let's see if Channel Fireball sold out for it too. Other ones we can click on. One in stock at $2.99, so they've even gone up from their $2.19 TCG market price. Let's see what it's going for on TCG market price for the Oath of Nyssa. Still seems like it has a lot of decent copies. Let's click on 4 more. Yeah, this Tales of Adventure has 200 of them for $2, which is still a pretty good spec in my opinion if you don't think it's going to get banned, because I'm telling you this card is seeing a ton of play. I've gone across a couple decks right now. Not even, there was just a good like a Planeswalker good stuff, like Bant good stuff, and then there's the combo that I've gone up against many times right now that use Oath of Nyssa. If we check out Dig Through Time, of course that card spiked way up. Card Kingdom is selling for $5.99. TCG market price is just out of control with this card. Remember, just got a reprinting in Ultimate Masters. There are a bunch around that $5 range with the shipping, $4.47. Yeah, lots and lots and lots of copies of this just because of how many are both Ultimate Masters and Concentric here have just tons of supply. So that one I don't know how far it can go, even if it's so popular. But this is just a very, very risky card to keep a hold of as far as a spec is concerned. Once Upon a Time is still going up, even though it's still the drafted format right now. Throne of the Eldraine. I even think this card needs banned in Standard. I actually think the Field of Dead was the wrong target. I think the Field of Dead might have been a lot more fair if Once Upon a Time wasn't digging it up. And then Felidar Guardian, you can also see this huge price spike. It looks like Card Kingdom is out of stock at $1.29, and doesn't look like Channel Fireball has any. Amazon's way up, and the TCG market price of this card is also, yeah, going through the roof here. We do have some around, it looks like around almost $3 a piece is what you're going to be paying for Felidar Guardian. Treasure Cruise, however, just tons of supply through Commander, Ultimate Masters, and Concentric here. So it's common. It's going to take a ton of pressure before it goes up. Anyway, these are my picks. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you've seen some more degenerate cards out of the format than the ones that I have talked about. Again, these enablers, these cantrippy type cards, every one of them is this. It's either a draw card or a fixed card, or like Felidar Guardians, even like a flicker card. Those type of cards that do tend to have the most overlap between decks and probably need to be fixed. Anyway, this is Kevin with the Rogue Market. So once again, thanks a lot for everyone for subscribing. Make sure you click that bell icon. We hit the 4,000 mark. The road to 5,000 actually should be pretty quick. So I'm going to do a Q&A. Excuse me. Just if you'll comment in the comment section below. Any question you have for me, market related or whatnot, I'll try to answer it for a Q&A, as well as patrons. If you're a patron, definitely come and message me on Patreon, and I'll answer those questions in the same Q&A for our 100 patron special and our 4,000 subscriber special. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. Thanks for watching.